Guys, before we move on to the next topic, I have something to admit to you. I've been lying. For the last week or so, or however long you've spent with PyWorks, I've been calling print statements, print statements. But that's technically wrong, because in reality, print is an example of a built-in function, which is our next topic. A function in Python, or in coding in general, is a way to save long pieces of code and reuse them easily. Now, the way we write a function is by writing the keyword def. And then we write whatever we want the name of our function to be. And it can be literally anything as long as it isn't one of these already built-in functions like print or range or len. Basically, a function is anything with a parentheses next to it, pretty much, these rounded ones. And you'll see why in a second right here. But let's say we want our function to be is even or odd, because we want to check whether a number is even or odd. We would write the name we want, add a pair of parentheses next to it, and then add a colon. Now, as you might have predicted, we are also going to need to write our code indented inside the function so that Python knows the code we want to repeat, basically, is in here and not out there. So, because we're making this an is, even, or odd function, let's start with an if statement. So before that, I guess we should make a variable. Well, we could make a variable here, like number, and set it to 0. So in this case, we could say number mod 2. Remember, that's how we do even or odd. We check the remainder by dividing it against 2. That's the modulus operator. So if number divided mod 2 is equal to 0, then we will print it's even. But if num mod 2 is not equal to 0, or else, we will print it's odd. So this is simple enough. But if we run our code, we're going to see that nothing happened, even though we wrote all our code out here. And these are print statements, so we're supposed to see them, right? So what happened? Well, it's important to know that this is declaring a function. And just like declaring a variable up here, all that's telling Python to do is save this definition. It's not telling it to run this code. And the way we tell it to run this code is by doing is even or odd, and then adding a pair of parentheses right next to it. So when we run, you'll see over here that our number is even, and you can change it too. Hey, that's pretty cool. But don't we put values in between the parentheses of most functions that we've talked about? Can we do the same thing here? Well, actually, yeah, we can. And this number that you pass through these parentheses actually has a special name. It's called a parameter. A value passed into the parentheses of a function. So the way we add that we want a parameter here is by going to over here where we're declaring the function, then writing number. Now over here, as long as we have that same variable name being used, Python basically declares the parameter as a variable. It just assumes that there's going to be a value. So on the flip side, if we tried running it right now, Python would give us an error, a type error, because is, even, or odd is missing our one required positional argument, number. But if we fix that with an integer right here, we would get an it's odd, or it's even. So we could have our accurate test results done all without looking at this code. And that's it. We've made our own function in Python.